Today is an exciting day for Hockey Canada and the Canadian Olympic Committee. In a few minutes, we will unveil the 25 National Hockey League players nominated to Team Canada's men's hockey team for the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic Winter Games. Before we unveil that roster, I would like to introduce today's speakers. Catherine Henderson, Hockey Canada's President and Chief Executive Officer. Scott Salmond, Hockey Canada's Senior Vice President of High Performance and Hockey Operations. And Doug Armstrong, General Manager of Team Canada's men's hockey team for the 2026 Olympics. At the conclusion of our formal agenda, there will be a Q&A session with our speakers. At this time, I'd like to invite Catherine Henderson to the podium for a brief opening statement.
Thanks, Spencer. Merci à tout le monde qui est ici avec nous et nous écoute à RDS at TSN. Today is a very exciting day for Hockey Canada and an important milestone in our journey towards the 2026 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games as we reveal the first of our 3 Canadian rosters that will compete for gold in Milan. Announcing our roster today would not have been possible without the Canadian Olympic Committee, International Ice Hockey Federation, the National Hockey League, and the National Hockey League Players Association. And on behalf of Hockey Canada, I'd like to thank them for their collaboration and teamwork leading to the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympic Games. I'd also like to congratulate the 25 athletes and players whose names you'll hear momentarily. Being nominated to Team Canada is a tremendous accomplishment for you, but it is also an accomplishment for your families and all the people who have played a role in your journey on and off the ice. In just 43 days, you will be putting on the maple leaf on the world's biggest stage and inspiring millions of Canadians from coast to coast to coast, many of whom will be dreaming of one day being in your skates. That inspiration is what makes the Games so special. And this is a special team. It's a team that we know is honored to represent our country, a team that is driven to achieve excellence. It's a team that leads by example. And it's a team that will make us all proud as Canadians throughout the Games. Congratulations to you all, and thank you very much. Félicitations à chacun de vous, et merci beaucoup. And go Canada, go.
Thank you, Catherine. Merci. I'd now like to invite Scott Salmond to the podium to say a few words.
Thanks, Spencer, and thanks, Kathy. As Kathy said, today is a very special day for Hockey Canada, not only because of today's announcement, but also our national junior team taking on Finland tonight in the World Junior Championship, and I want to wish them the best of luck. On behalf of Hockey Canada, I want to take an opportunity to thank our management group, and specifically Doug Armstrong, for the work that he's done in putting together this roster. This is not a process that started last week or last year. With Doug Armstrong, this process actually started in 2010 and 2014 when he was part of Steve Yzerman's gold medal winning Olympic teams. Doug was the general manager in 2016 of the World Cup of Hockey that Canada won gold. Doug was named the general manager of our 2022 Olympic team before COVID prevented NHL players from participating in the Olympic Games. And in 2024, we named Doug Armstrong as the executive director of Hockey Canada's men's national teams, overseeing the last 2 World Championships, overseeing our win at the Four Nations face-off, and now the general manager of our Olympic team. Doug's commitment to Hockey Canada over the last 20 years is unmatched. His leadership is incredible and greatly appreciated on behalf of Hockey Canada. Today is a very important day and a very special day for us as we name this roster. And I want to make sure that from the moment that Connor McDavid scored that goal at the Four Nations face-off, Canadians have been debating this roster. Who should be on it? Who should not be? That debate won't change today. But what I can tell you, and what is undebatable, is the commitment, the time, and the effort that Doug and his management group has put into selecting this roster. We're confident that the team that will be announced today will make Canadians proud in February. And again, on behalf of Hockey Canada and all Canadians, I want to thank Doug Armstrong and his management group. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Merci. I would now like to welcome Doug Armstrong to the podium to make today's announcement.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to welcome the passionate hockey fans across Canada for joining us today as we unveil Canada's Olympic men's hockey team. The last 18 months for myself and our management group has been a labor of love. We've been able to travel all across North America, go to Sweden for the World Championships, and watch Canada's best perform. And let me tell you, they have not disappointed. There are many great advantages to being part of this program and working for Hockey Canada, and one disadvantage. The advantages start with and end with how great the players are, how many there are, how hard they compete, and more importantly, how badly they want to make this team. The one disadvantage is for management and management alone. It's taking that wide group of players and narrowing it down to 25. I'd like to thank the Hockey Canada Board, Catherine Henderson and Scott Salmon for their unwavering support as we move forward towards Italy. I'd also like to thank John Cooper and his coaching staff for their work, preparing us, giving us information on players, and allowing us to pick the proper 25 players to move forward with. I'd like to say a special thanks to my management group of Don Sweeney, Jim Nill, Julian Brisebois, Kyle Dubas, and Ryan Getzlaff for their countless hours of work on the phone and at arenas. That has been unbelievable to watch these guys prepare to announce this team. I'd also like to say a special thanks to the spouses and partners for our management staff from the NHL people. The NHL season is long, it's grinding for managers and coaches, and we're not at home a lot, and when we're at home, we're not there a lot. You add in the Olympic part of it, and we wouldn't be here without the love and support of our families, and to them, I want to say thank you very much. So with that, please look at the monitors as we unveil Team Canada.
Jordan Binnington, Richmond Hill, Ontario. Darcy Kemper, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
Logan Thompson, Calgary, Alberta.
Drew Doughty, London, Ontario. Thomas Harley, Syracuse, New York. Joe McCarr, Calgary, Alberta. Josh Morrissey, Calgary, Alberta. Colton Pareko, St. Albert, Alberta. Travis Samhan, Melbourne, Manitoba. Jay Theodore, Aldergrove, British Columbia. Devon Taves, Abbotsford, British Columbia. Macklin Celebrini, Vancouver, British Columbia. Anthony Sorelli, Woodbridge, Ontario. Sidney Crosby, Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Brandon Hagel, Mornville, Alberta. Bo Horvat, London, Ontario. Nathan McKinnon, Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Brad Marchand, Hammonds Plains, Nova Scotia. Mitch Marner, Thornhill, Ontario. Connor McDavid, Newmarket, Ontario. Braden Point, Calgary, Alberta.
Sam Reinhart, West Vancouver, British Columbia. Mark Stone, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Nick Suzuki, London, Ontario. Arm Wilson, Toronto, Ontario.
Go Canada, go.
Go Canada, go. Go Canada, go. Go Canada, go.
Thank you, Doug. Merci. And thank you to the minor hockey players from Hockey Calgary who helped us create that incredible roster video. We'll now open the floor to questions from media, starting with media in the room, followed by questions from Zoom. Media in the room, if you'd like to just raise your hand and we'll pass you a mic. Media on Zoom can use the raise hand function and we'll call upon you shortly. Start on the right side here.
Hi, Doug. Mark Masters, TSN. What was the toughest or most time-consuming decision you made in finalizing this roster?
As always, it goes down to the last couple of days. The process worked very well. We got it. Our last major meeting with our management group was in early December. I would say we walked out of that meeting with 12 forwards in consensus, 7 defensemen and 2 goalies. And then it was really getting to work with John Cooper, understanding what John does on a day-to-day basis. I didn't want to burden him with a lot of this, but when we got to that point, we needed his input, and we've really worked hand in hand. He and his coaching staff have been invaluable in telling us what they needed, the type of players they needed, what areas of concern we had as far as power play, penalty kill, different situations, and what players could represent that. So I would say it's always comes down to the last couple of players. And as I said in my opening remarks, it's very difficult because there's so many worthy players here. And I can just say one thing, not one player played their way off of this team, just 25 guys played their way on.
When it came to Connor Bedard, how much did the injury impact kind of the decision-making process for him?
I'm not going to say not a lot, quite honestly. His name was right there to the last second because we could have named him and then move forward. But I think the reality is there's so many good players and we just had difficult decisions to make.
Right behind Mark there.
Hey, Doug, Kyle Bukowskis from Sportsnet. So it felt like for, I don't know, at least the last month on the outside that Macklin Celebrini was a name that he had done enough to make the team internally. At what point did you guys decide that despite his age, it was undeniable that he deserved to be part of the roster?
Early December. He was one of our 12 that had done enough to make us comfortable that he was someone we wanted to present to the coach, that of our 12 core players or 12 players that we had all agreed upon. I talked to him this morning. I had the opportunity to meet him. It might have been his 5th or 6th NHL game. It's a story I think I've shared with some of you that they were playing in St. Louis, and I went down before the game and I said, introduced myself, and I said, you're not on the radar likely for the 4 nations, but the Olympics are coming up and we're going to watch you. And he proceeded to have, I think, 4 points that night. So I said, I'll always have those conversations after the game moving forward. But since then, he's really taken off. He's gone to the Worlds. He fit in very well socially with the top players in the game, and his product on the ice speaks for itself. So he worked his way on, and you know, his resume is shorter, but it's extremely filled out for his age.
Doug, Josh Clippern with the Canadian Press. Just in terms of your goaltending, what gives you confidence in Jordan can still get it done? Excuse me. And also, what did Darcy and Logan show to get on the roster?
Yeah, I think that when we select all the players, we look at their recent play and we look at their resume. And Jordan Binnington's resume speaks for itself. What he did at the 4 Nations, what he's done in the NHL. His statistical numbers aren't to where he would like them to be this year. And working for the St. Louis Blues, I would agree. But also, I don't think the St. Louis Blues have put a product in front of him that we should be proud of. And So he's a byproduct of how we play on some nights. But I think talking to the coaches and the management, and that was the one thing that surprised me a little bit with the group, was his name never came up as, you know, a question mark. I think what everyone saw from him at the Four Nations cemented his legacy for this tournament. And what I've seen over his career made it easy for me to go that direction. With the other two, I think Logan statistically has been maybe the top goaltender over the last couple of years. Canadian goaltender. He was very close last year on the Four Nations. All he's done since then is play exemplary hockey. And Darcy has a great resume. He's got the Kings in a good spot. He's a Stanley Cup champion. So we believe in those three. We have the proper components.
And just follow up, injuries are unfortunately part of the game. Is there a standby list? And if so, how many, and what's the message to those guys?
Yes, there is a standby list. We're not going to give a definite number. What we've tried to do is give you some insight into our thought process. It's not one player out, one player in. What we're going to do is say, if this style of player gets hurt, we'll have a list of players to look at. If this style of player gets hurt, we'll have a list of players to look at. That list is it's long, but not too long, because there's different style of players that we want. And we've asked the players if they want to stay on that list. Part of the requirements to be on that list is you have to continue with the testing that the Olympic Committee does. And, you know, to a man that I've talked to, they said they want to stay on the list. Everyone, you know, hopes that the 25 guys have health till then, but their job is to prepare that if someone unfortunately is injured, they're the first name they're at the top of that list that we're considering.
Doug, Guillaume Lepage with LNH.com. Nick Suzuki wasn't on the roster at the Four Nations. What have you seen from him in the last few months that convinced you to put his name on the list?
He's just continued to be a very good player. And I have to say that Marty St. Louis has done a fabulous job. As their team ascends, you look at why. And Nick is a major player in that. The pressure that goes playing in Canada is one level. The pressure playing in Montreal is a different level. Then the pressure of being the captain of the Montreal Canadiens is at a different level. And what impresses me about Nick is his ability to compartmentalize all that and still be a top player every night. We love his versatility. He can not a major penalty killer for the Canadiens this year, and we talked to their management group about that. And a little bit of that is just managing his ice time. But we know he can kill. We know he can play the power play. We know he's a 200-foot player. And what we wanted to do as a management group is to provide John Cooper with players with a lot of different tools in their toolkit. And Nick is one of those players.
Hi, Doug. Nicholas Cloutier for the Journal de Montréal. If you could expand on that, what you said about Suzuki and his role, do you have an idea what kind of role he could fill for you guys?
This is the best part of this. I get to turn all this over to the coach. So we have a vision of when we picked the players, and that's where John was very helpful of asking us what we saw in these players and how they could support our team. And I guess where John will decide where Nick plays and who he plays with. But what we are comfortable is telling John that Nick is a multi-talented player that can fill a lot of roles.
Hey, Mr. Armstrong, Jesse Pollock, TSN. Mark Scheifele is having a pretty solid year with the Jets. I just want to know, was he a player that came right down to the wire?
Yeah, there was a number of players that have come right down to the wire. I would say, just to ensure that we all make the Olympics, I'll hold my answers to questions of players that are on the team, not on the team. So, but yeah, there's so many players that are right on the cusp. And I said, and I really meant that no players played their way off this team. We just had to narrow this down to 25.
Hi, Doug. Adam Kimmelman from NHL.com. Goaltending such in the spotlight. When you guys were discussing positions, was goalie what you spent maybe the longest on? And how did you how many were in that initial group that you went from to get to these three guys you picked today?
Yeah, if you go back to the group that came to Calgary, it would have looked like a goalie camp if we had have brought all the players that we had on our list at that time. So there was a number of players on that list. David Alexander is our goalie coach, and he works with me in St. Louis. I put a lot of stock into his opinion. He scouts the goalies. He and John talk a lot about it. So I'm going to say, as a management group, we didn't spend a lot of time talking about the goaltending. But that group was extensive, and we believe that the three that we named have earned that right. And we've told the others to, you never know what happens with injuries, and to stay prepared. And it'll be a tough decision if one guy goes down, because there's some guys playing really good hockey right now.
Josh Gibbons, CP. Just keeping the same blue line. I'm just wondering why you decided to stay the same 8 guys, and what was the conversation like with Drew Doughty when you told me he was on the team?
R-rated. And Drew's an unbelievable competitor. I've been fortunate to observe him close at international events going back to 2009. He was excited. He's honored. He's fired up. He wants to put his best foot forward. He wants to win again. His passion, he wears it on his sleeve, and that's infectious to everybody. The reason going with the 8 was just, again, scouting, dialogue with the coaches. What did they like? What, about that group? I think we have great skill level. I think one of the things, like for a Parenko and a Sanheim, we call it like going through a car wash. They're all arms and legs. It's hard to get to the net. It's like swimming in seaweed. I love those big players. And with Theodore, I think we have a proper balance of players that have won at the NHL level, have won at the Four Nations level, and complement each other. And that was a big decision when I talked to John and Pete DeBoer, who runs the D.
Final call for questions in the room. Okay, seeing none, we will go to questions from Zoom and turn it over to my colleague Jacob. Just a reminder to please use the raise hand function. And when you do ask a question, please state your name, your media affiliation, and who your question is for.
Hi, Doug, it's Andrew Gross from Newsday in New York. Thanks for doing this. I was just wondering specifically about Bo Horvat, what you and your team saw out of him this season, and why you think Bo is a good fit for this group of 14 forwards. Thanks.
Thank you for the question. Bo has a lot of the attributes we're looking for. We want to be able to play inside, get to the net. He's a player that played left wing with McKinnon at the World Championships last year. Can play multiple positions for us. I think right now he's of the players we selected, he's our highest face-off guy. So he adds that element to the selection process. Just an all-around good 200-foot player, can touch both ends of the special teams if needed, and has a multi-positional aspect to him that made him a very appealing player for us.
Hey Doug, it's Ethan Sears from the New York Post. Was just wondering about Matthew Schaefer. How tough a decision did he make this for you guys, and at what point did he sort of maybe play himself onto the radar as a guy who presumably had not been on the radar going into the season?
I'll be honest with you, he wasn't on my radar at the start of the season. But his play is exemplary, and as I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about players who didn't make the team, but to me, this is a special occasion because he's an 18-year-old man that we're talking about playing in the Olympics. So he's a fantastic talent. He brings you out of your seat every night. He's got maturity beyond his years on and off the ice. And so I was shocked at how quickly he worked his way into our conversations, and that's a credit to him. And the Islanders are very lucky, and hockey's very lucky to have a young player like that coming on the horizon.
Hi, folks. Garrett from CTV. Thanks very much for your time and the question. I was wondering, Doug, or maybe Scott or Catherine, you might want to chime in, but if you have received any reassurance on the state of the arena in Milan, if any of the players you've spoke to have expressed any concerns about the arena in Milan, if any contingencies are being planned, just kind of an update on that.
It's Scott Salmon here. We've spent a lot of time in Milan ourselves. I've been there personally 3 times, and the day after the World Juniors ends, I'll be going back. And so I told Doug yesterday that we'd have a much better idea where we are in the facilities, both the main arena and the practice facility. We have again taken some steps to make sure that we have backup plans should we need them. But we fully expect, and we've heard from the IHF and the IOC that the arena will be built and it will be ready, and that's our expectation.
Hey, Doug, Patrick Johnston here from Post Media. I think you said to Pierre LeBrun the other day that you were looking at, who you guys were playing, not just the US, so on. I'm wondering what sort of your guiding question in assembling this roster is. Is this the best 25 players in Canada, or was there a sort of style you guys wanted to play? What guided you in picking these players in the end?
We believe this is the best team we could select. There's, as I said earlier, there's a lot of aspects that go into the team. You look at Hagel Sorelli's penalty killing. It's exemplary in the NHL. That's an area that we want to make sure that there's not going to be a lot of power plays, but a power play goal will count even higher because there's not that many. So players like that come in with something that they can provide along with other assets. So what we've tried to do is build the best team. And we have to do our job to get an opportunity to play teams from the other brackets. And so we're not building this team to beat any one team. We want to build a roster that can compete with against anybody. And I assume all the other countries are doing the same thing. It's a very dangerous and slippery slope when you do something just for one opponent and you never face them. So our goal is to build a team that can compete with anyone, to be the best we can be. That's our goal, is just to be the best we can be, and let the chips fall where they may. And we're excited about this group that can hopefully compete against any nation that will be at the Olympics.
We have one more question from Ken coming up, but this is a final call for questions on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Doug. Ken Weave, Winnipeg Free Press. You've seen him a lot. What are you expecting to see from Josh Morrissey on the Olympic stage after what he's done both at Four Nations and for the Jets for the last number of years here?
More of the same. Josh is a player that we obviously know very well from being in the same division. His game is getting stronger every year. What he went through at the Four Nations and the pain he was in not being able to participate in that final game showed his love of country and passion for the game. We played Winnipeg in the first round. He was a phenomenal player. I just think he's a heck of a hockey player, and we're not expecting or asking anyone to come and do more than what they do. We just want them to be the best versions that they can be, and Josh is that now, and we expect him to be that when we get to Italy.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. This concludes our press conference. On behalf of Hockey Canada, we wish you a happy new year, and we look forward to representing Canada at the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic Winter Games. Thank you.
Merci à tous et à toutes de votre présence. La conférence de presse d'aujourd'hui est maintenant terminée. Au nom de Hockey Canada, nous vous souhaitons une bonne et heureuse année. Nous avons hâte de représenter le Canada aux Jeux olympiques de 2026 à Milano Cortina en février.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're excited.